Hello, everyone. This is Yamina from DrGPCR, and welcome to another edition of the DrGPCR monthly newsletter. This is for November 2023, and today I have with me Dr. Alix Rouault. And so that I don't mess up your name, which I practiced right before saying it, Alix, it's really nice to have you on board.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fun.
Very excited to have you on. Maybe we could start with a quick introduction as to who you are, what do you do, before we dive into this month's news.
Sure. So my name is Alix Rouault. I am a postdoctoral fellow at the Life Science Institute at University of Michigan. And I'm working in the lab of Roger Cohn, who is the director of the institute. And I work heavily on GPCR, a lot of pharmacology, and my pet peeve and passion is actually bias signaling.
Awesome. Thank you, Alix, for being here. This is very exciting. So let's start with your news, and then I can get to talking a little bit more about what DrGPCR is up to. But I hear you're doing something really cool, really fun in the context of a meeting. So tell us a little bit more.
So I attended a meeting last year named the American Physiology Summit. It's the conference of the American Physiology Society. It's a brand new meeting. It was started in 2023. It branched out from neuroscience. Oh, I should have checked that before. I forgot the exact name of the conference it branched out of. And it was an excellent meeting. I didn't have any expectation. I just followed one of my my colleague here in the lab, and it was absolutely awesome. Last year, I think they brought up like 3,000 people, and for a first iteration of a meeting, it was beautiful. And the quality of the speakers were outstanding. The keynote speaker for the opening was David Julius. It was, I think, the Nobel laureate in 2021. And also a closing speaker that was a marine biologist named Terry Williams. It was like field biology where they actually went and put cameras on narwhals to understand why whales tend to wash offshore. And it was a great study. It was completely new for me to see people like doing field biology. It was awesome. But yeah, so yes, this meeting happened last year, and at the end of the meeting, they told us that they will open free session where we can apply, and like a grant, you apply and they pick up your session or not. And we submitted in collaboration with Lauren Stolsky. I think she also had a podcast with you.
Yes.
And Joshua Gross.
Yes.
And we created a session called bias signaling. Because it's hard to find. We hear a lot about pharmacology and GPCR everywhere, but we never hear about the specifically bias signaling within the GPCR realm, which is actually something that we found, all of us, very, very interesting, and would like to hear more about. And also gather kind of an audience to come in one meeting and talk about the new things that happens. And yeah, bringing everybody up to date.
No, I think it's to your point. It's very interesting. We talk about bias signaling in HEK cells. We don't very much talk about bias signaling in physiological settings, in mouse models, and in larger models. I think hence the connection to the American Society of Physiology, if I remember correctly. And to the GPCR. And I know Lauren, I also just met Josh at the Great Lakes GPCR retreat, and he had this very, very cool mouse models. He's a great speaker anyway, just as Lauren is. So I'm very excited to hear more about this meeting. So when is this meeting? How can people register? Are you looking for contributors? How can we help you as a community?
So it's more like a message. If you want to participate, please come. The more people that are passionate by bias signaling come, maybe it will be picked up next year, or it will become a staple in the meeting, which would be awesome. So we can all meet there every year. So the meeting will take place next year, from April 4th to 7th. It's at Long Beach, California. So last year it was the same location. It was awesome. Nobody is there. It's just us. So it's very nice.
And it's
Um,
California, so, and it's not, on the East Coast, it's still cold enough
yeah,
that you
exactly.
wanna move to spend a couple of days in California.
It's a nice break from the Midwestern winter for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And is it an afternoon? Is it a couple of days? How long is this meeting?
So the meeting is from the 4th to the 7th. It's quite large.
Mhm.
They really invested quite a bit of money in there, and the quality of the meeting was awesome. There's a lot of things for different people. There is even the NSF that came and talked to us about how to apply for the grants. There is also industries partnered with the conference that come and explain to us what entails to work in the industry and how to progress in industry. It was actually really, really good. And they also have smaller groups, like every other meeting, where you can go for a breakfast with some speakers, or not even speakers, but people that actually worked and are quite advanced in the field. And this is where I actually met someone that I don't think she realized how much she mattered to me, but I met someone named Patricia Silveira. She is a department chair in environmental and occupational health in Indiana University in
Mhm.
Bloomington. I should probably write her an email to tell her how much influence she had over me over the last year. uh yeah, you can meet like excellent people like that you would never have met otherwise. Like, she
Yeah.
worked in public health. What would have been
Wow.
the odds for me to meet someone that work in public
Yeah.
health? That's like as a meeting.
No, that is true. I was wondering, so the entire meeting is the 4th to the 7th, but this bias learning session
Mm.
on GPCRs, where does it fit in the program?
So the session is part of FSS, Fundamental Science. Oh, sorry, I should probably make sure that I don't
Because
butcher.
you are prepared and you have your notes up
Yes,
and
I do have
ready.
my notes. So the FSS Foundational Science session is where
Mhm.
you can apply for having a session that is not organized by the APS, where you come and just organize and fit in there with them. And this is where we apply for the biosignaling from cell to physiological system. The session is called like this, and they picked it up and accepted. So it's going to be an hour and a half. I don't know the date yet. It's gonna
Mhm.
be probably the 7th or the 5th,
Okay.
and it's just an hour and a half. But we'll probably meet outside of the just the talks.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think most, at least for me, I've always went to the small GPCR meetings, the
Mm-hmm.
200, the Gordon, the Great Lakes Retreat, and the Keystone. And so don't get me wrong, these conferences are great because you get to meet your collaborators, you get to potentially meet new collaborators. But I think our field and science in general is pushing us towards opening up to other fields in order to broaden our horizons, to collaborate with other fields, with people who have different expertise that we might be able to bring into the GPCR field. So I think what you're doing, what you're organizing within the context of the APS is really a really a nice effort in order to open up and learn,
Definitely,
and then also put into perspective, your GPCR, your mutant, your phosphorylation site, your hexel, and try and look at it more broadly. So it's really, really interesting.
definitely. There is quite a bit of pharmacology. At least last year was very pharmacology central with focused on cardiovascular system.
Mhm.
And yes, you tend to forget because you work on one GPCR or one system within GPCR, you tend to forget about what's around you. And this is a
Exactly.
good reminder that sometimes maybe your thing can fit somewhere else, and
Yeah,
this is a perfect time to like talk about it with other people for
absolutely.
sure.
And I'm not, you may not know this, but do you have to be a member of the American Physiological Society to attend the meeting, or what does that look like? Just
No,
wondering.
you can just register to the meeting and go
And
from
go.
there.
Nice.
They will open registration pretty soon, I think. It's not open yet, but they will pretty soon.
Okay. That is really interesting. And how does it on your end? I'm very curious. Maybe this is not the forum to ask. I'll still ask the question. What are the things that you're learning by organizing the session that you have not experienced before?
No. Well, it was so they actually that kicked off quite a bit for me to organize this session. First to be picked up. I didn't expect to be picked up. So I was reading Joshua and Lauren's work when I was actually applying to the session. I'm like, maybe I should just ask them. They're young researcher. Joshua is going to open his lab soon.
He
Lauren is
did. He
he
actually
did.
did. I think 3 months ago or something. It's very, very
Mhm.
fresh. Yeah.
It is very fresh. He's now at Penn State, from Duke to Penn State.
Yeah.
And Lauren was, and Joshua recommended Lauren to me, and I was actually reading Lauren's work when he recommended her to me for her to join the committee, and they all accepted it right away. It was very good. And and you mentioned also earlier whether or not you could apply for this session. You cannot. This is invited speaker only. So we already have our rosters of invitee, and I'm very happy to say that we were able to convince Dr. Michel Bouvier to give a to give a talk in our session, which was very unexpected, but we're very happy to have him for sure.
Of course, of course. Can you share who the other speakers are?
So Michel Bouvier will give a talk. He already gave us his title. It's going to be signaling and location bias of GPCR, two aspects of functional selectivity in drug action. We will also have John McCorvey. He's an assistant professor in medical school, Medical College of Wisconsin. And he has a very hot topic. It's uncovering psychedelic therapeutics potential, structure-based design, and serotonin GPCR bias agonist. He's using some psychedelics compounds to try to bias receptors. It's actually pretty nice. We also have Dylan Eager. He's an MD PhD. He graduated, he graduated from his PhD in 2022 because we are in 2023. He graduated in 2022 and he worked at Duke. And now he's back in med school, but his work was great. And we all decided that it was important also to have representation from people from, people that are in training as well, not just having like big heads and big names.
I like that. And Dylan was also on the podcast, and he was in Sudha Rajagopal's lab. He also presented multiple times on the DrGPCR, summit and events. And he's a really great speaker, fantastic scientist. So I think you're lucky to have him.
Yeah, and he's going to be our the session is on bias signaling and heavily relying on beta arrestin signaling and recruitment, and he's going to be our barcode model representative in this in this session.
Nice. Who else? If we haven't gone through the list, so I think we have.
And our last one will be Joshua Gross, for the simple reason that we were 3 organizing the meeting and we had to be only 2 co-chairs for moderating the meeting. So we decided that Josh would give a talk for the session, and he will present a pharmacological and genetic model of grain receptor, functional selectivity to investigate reward behavior and metabolism.
Very exciting. I wonder if he'll have time to get more data into the presentation from what he just presented at the Great Lakes GPCR retreat, which was really spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there, but I'm in a green card process, so I cannot leave the country, unfortunately.
Yes. Well, hopefully the next meeting, the next Great Lakes GPCR retreat is going to be in 2025. So 18 months from now. And it's going to be in Bromont in Quebec. But I think the local organizers are absolutely open to having co-organizers from the US as well.
Good.
So might be a good opportunity to collaborate.
It used to be one time in Quebec or Canada and one time in the US, no?
Yes. It used to be on both ends, but I think the past couple of times it's been decided. So during the meeting, one night you go down and, well, the PIs go down into the what we call the business meeting, and I've been at 2 of these, and that's when the fate or the next organizers come forward and the location is decided. So it's been decided that it's going to be in Quebec
Great. Well,
this
I
time.
hope
So
I'll be able to attend that one. Yeah,
it's exactly what I was gonna say. No, absolutely.
it's definitely my favorite week meeting. I've been in the Niagara Fall one 2 years ago.
Oh, you were there? I was there as well.
I know we probably missed each other. I have been I finally came out of my shell this year. So I'll be much more social in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I gave a talk, and I think I even have had a poster then. So I wonder if maybe you must have walked by the poster in
Probably.
2020, 2022. Yeah, it was not a scientific poster. It was more of a Dr. GPCR, what we've accomplished type of poster.
Oh,
Um,
I know you were there. I remember because I mean I knew that your podcast since you started it a long time
mhm,
ago. My PI introduced me, my ex-PI introduced me to your podcast, and I have been trying to follow up since then.
good.
So it's been a long time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and we've been very busy here on the Dr. GPCR end as well. So today was the roundtable on GPCRs in immuno-oncology as part of our last Dr. GPCR symposium for 2023. We had Silvio Goodkin, Brian Airy, Xavier Leroy, and Benjamin Myers. And we had a really nice audience. We were, I want to say maybe 20 people, but it was very, very interactive. And we managed to talk about GPCRs in immuno-oncology for about an hour and a half. And at some point we had to say, okay, we need to end on a positive note. The recording of the roundtable will be available on the website shortly for the premium members. It was a very good conversation. I think we covered a lot of ground, a lot of topics there. And
Nice.
then we're also getting ready for next year. So we're launching the Dr. GPCR University with the idea that we want to offer courses, live courses that will be recorded and later on available in the ecosystem on anything GPCR related. We have a set of topics that we would like to cover, but there we also have a Google form. So if anyone wants to give a course or take a course on a specific topic and suggest somebody we could reach out to give the course, we'd be more than happy to do that. And we're starting in January with our first live course with Dr. Terry Kinnakin on Introduction to Pharmacology. I think it's going to be a really cool course. We're planning on having 4 sessions, so once a week, and then Terry will be available to answer questions. So I think it's going to be a really fun class to take.
That's nice. Do you have anybody for bias signaling yet?
Not yet, but if you're interested, look,
Definitely.
absolutely. We think that when I say we, I mean the Dr. GPCR team, we think that anyone and everyone is more than welcome to come and teach and give a course on something that they're an expert at. So if you're interested, obviously, once we stop recording, I'm happy to chat about it with you. But the goal is to create this community within the ecosystem as part of the university, where anything you want to talk about, you can look at the courses. Do we have them? You can take it. Or you can also reach out to people and ask questions. You know, you'd be a good person to talk about bias signaling. Terry would be a fantastic person to talk about GPCRs and
Yeah.
drug discovery and you name it. So we're very excited to start this new initiative. And so in the monthly newsletter, there will be a link to the Google form, which we invite people to fill out and tell us if they want to take a course or give a course. It's going to be super exciting. And obviously, we're continuing with the podcast. We have a couple of great podcast episodes in the pipeline. I don't know if you listened to the past 3 or 4 podcast episodes with Richard Premont, but we went through the history of G proteins and GPCR history from the discovery to what we know today, which I think is going to be a really fun couple of it was a fun couple of podcast episodes to record. Richard and I had a lot of fun recording those, so hopefully people had fun also listening to them.
I'm sure they have. Oh, but speaking of discovery of GPCR, I forgot to mention that the keynote speaker for the opening this year next year will be Brian Kibilka.
Okay.
It's a
So
good detail to put in.
yes, it's a good plug. Now is the time to plug that. So at the meeting you have Michel Bouvier and Brian Kopilka. That's great. That is fantastic. And no, that's super fantastic. Plus it's in California, so it's not gonna be a big travel for him
Yeah,
to get
and it's
there.
very nice to enjoy a little bit of
Yes.
the marine air.
Yes. Yes. I was at a Gordon conference this year in February in Ventura. I mean, it's not Long Beach, California, but it was pretty nice. The weather was really pleasant. We left, I think, and interestingly, so I live in the Boston area, and interestingly, that weekend it was minus 40 Celsius
Ooh.
in Boston, and then we got to California and it was plus 15, and then it was 20 degrees all week Celsius and sunny. So
And
it's
so,
a really nice, really nice change for us to be out there. But yeah, so basically this is it for the Dr. GPCR news. Very excited about the university. We're already working on the Dr. GPCR symposia for 2024. We've decided to keep it to 3 events instead of 5. And based on popular demand, I think we're going to bring back the trainee day, where we'll have trainees come and present and give talks. Although I don't like to discriminate. Anyone at any event that we put together is welcome to present. So we've had, I think, a PhD student present right after or before Terry Kinakin. And it's fine. And I think it just, allows you to gain that extra confidence.
definitely, I think this is so important to for whoever, for all the PhD students out there, use your time as a student to make the mistakes that you're gonna make later if you don't make them now. I missed on giving talks. I should have given way more talks, getting used to it, because I mean this is part of the profession, giving talk and sharing your results, your data. And if you're not used to it, you're gonna go against doing it, and it will impair your career development for sure.
No, I think it's important, and I think there's more and more opportunities to present your work. And you can have the best data, but if you can't communicate it and you can't share it and you don't share it, then it's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, you have to be your own publicist. You have to go out there and talk about your work
Absolutely.
for sure.
Absolutely. Alex, thank you so much for your time.
Mm.
I cannot wait to have you back on the podcast. So we're kind of preparing the crowd for this. Then we can dig deeper into where you come from as a scientist. What is it that you do? But I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for your time. I'm very excited to have recorded this November edition of the Dr. GPCR Monthly News with you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was fun.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. We're going to let people wonder what we talk about after we stop recording.
Okay.
Thanks.